I lived two different lives.
Yeah, she is a superstar.
Who I was when I was in Birmingham was very different to the person I was being trained to be in London.
She is, of course, Jamelia.
Hello. Thank you. You know, I'll be doing a show with Nelson Mandela on a Thursday and I'm back home boiling dumpling with my mum. I'd randomly gone on stage at Notting Hill Carnival, performed right here by SWV, and it just so happened that there was an A&R man and offered me a record deal the next day. Everyone thinks that Superstar's the one, but for me, it's Thank You. To this day, I'll have people come up to me, talk to me about the impact that that song has had on them. By the time I was like 21, I was able to retire my mum. I bought her a house.
Look how your gift can make room for you and your family.
Tasia, she says this all the time, that when you don't learn a lesson, it's gonna happen again. My motherhood is like the thing that I'm most committed to. I see my daughters as representations of myself outside of my body.
Wow.
So I've been groomed, I've been in a domestically abusive situation, I've been publicly humiliated, cheated on, abandoned. In those moments, the people that saved me were my daughters. I don't even want to get emotional, but they were. Sorry.
It's all right.
I can only look back now and just be like, thank God.
Hi everyone, I'm Shanae George, I'm a psychotherapist. Thank you for joining me in today's episode. If you are new here, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share this video with anyone who you know needs to hear these conversations. If you're looking for a therapist or you want to join my community, I will leave everything in the description bar. Thank you for joining me and my community in making wellness a daily practice. Let's get straight into the episode.
Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you coming today.
Oh.
You look beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
You're glowing.
Thank you. I'm trying.
Okay, so let's start off with a wellness this or that.
Okay.
So I've written down some questions. So I'm gonna give you two phrases.
Okay.
And I want you to pick one.
Okay.
Okay, don't think too deeply about it.
Okay, cool.
And just go with the flow. Okay?
Okay.
Right. Matcha or coffee?
Coffee.
Journaling or affirmations?
Journaling.
Meditation or yoga?
Yoga.
Spa day or weekend wellness retreat?
I think a weekend wellness retreat. Yeah.
Morning workout or evening workout?
Morning workout.
Reading a book or listening to a podcast?
Ooh. Listening to a podcast.
Running or cycling?
Cycling.
Sauna or cold plunge?
I hate both of those things. I'm going to say cold plunge just because I would like to try it.
Oh, you haven't tried it before?
No.
It's really good.
Yeah, really.
It's that, well, I say it's really good, like, yeah, go do it, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah, okay.
Plantain or plantain?
Plantain. Come on now.
Jamelia, thank you so much for coming. I truly, truly appreciate you being here.
Oh, bless you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm actually so excited.
Do you know what? When we had our first interview, which was during COVID.
Yes.
And that was about 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Time has flown. I think it was 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Time has flown.
It's crazy. It's so crazy. And I think you see things like that. It's so important to always just remember how quickly things can change. Like I was in a totally different place, space, time. I was a totally different person the last time we spoke. Like, you know, but like even like me, I'm kind of like, totally different person.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, it's good to have those things to kind of look back on and be like,
and that was a great conversation that we actually had then.
Exactly.
And then 2 years ago, I interviewed your daughter, Tasia.
Yes.
Tasia, we love her. We love her. She is a queen. She is so beautiful, so intelligent, so graceful. And when she came on, I was just in awe of her and looking at her, how she presents herself, how she speaks.
Yeah.
Round of applause to you.
Oh, bless you. Do you know what? I do take some of the credit, but she is such an incredible human. Like, I hit the absolute jackpot when it came to, you know, especially my first child as well, just to be so incredible. Like, I've learned so much from her, you know, and to this day, like this morning, like, you know, she'll sit me down and she'll be like, okay, listen, you need, you know, she's amazing, a truly amazing blessing. And, you know, I try and remind her and let her know as much as I can. She's the best thing that happened to me. Yeah,
she is. And even watching you on Celebs Go Dating, and seeing the relationship you both had, and she was like, "You're big, Gem." And you was like, "Thank you." She's so encouraging and so inspiring. And for me as a mother, I feel that daughters give mothers power.
Oh gosh,
and give us that inspiration, and motivate us when we feel maybe down or weak or not as confident. I really do believe that our daughters are our strength.
Oh my gosh, like I totally agree. Like my daughters, like I can tell you, like, with 100% certainty, I would not be here if I didn't have those girls. A constant motivation. I see my daughters as representations of myself outside of my body. And so whenever I interact with them, I always think, like, what did you need to hear when this was you? Do you know what I mean? I feel like I'm parenting myself, and in doing so, I genuinely feel like when I help them, I'm helping my inner child as well. That's genuinely how I feel. Yeah.
I've never thought of it like that.
Like, it's literally like yourself walking around outside your body. Like, that's how I feel.
That is so beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, the way I parent my daughter now, and I'm thinking, okay, what do I need to change? How can I talk to her differently? But I think that's so beautiful, the way you put it, as, you know, our kids are our representation, and kind of how would we like to have been responded to if we dropped something on the floor, or if we were crying, or if we were angry, you know? And trying not to respond like our parents.
Exactly. And it's really important that I say this as well.
Yeah.
Please don't think I get it perfectly all the time. I definitely get things wrong. I get frustrated and react, but I'm also, like, I'm a big apologizer. I'm a big, like, you know, sit down and talk it out. You know, I want my children to know that they are respected by me. I feel like I don't just get respect because I'm your mom. I want to be respected because of who I am to you and how I show up to you. I don't teach my children that, like, oh, this person's an adult, so you have to treat them this way. No. Is this person good to you? Is this person kind? Does this person respect you? Are they treating you how you want to be treated? And if they're not, you don't owe them anything. And I know that's probably like a controversial take, and that includes me, by the way. That I include myself in that. I'm not automatically deserving of all of this good treatment and respect if I'm not being that way to you. And so you know, it keeps me on my toes. Like, make sure, you know, talk to me nice.
But that's good. That's good morals, though, because some of us have grown up with, you respect them regardless because they're your elder, and I understand that to a certain degree. But sometimes your elders can abuse you, disrespect you, and if you treat them with respect, then that's when problems start to arise, because then you silence certain things that happen to you because they're an elder and you've been told to respect your elders. So I guess I totally understand where you're coming from when you say that.
And I don't mind, like, if, you know, like, show people respect, be kind, be polite, but, like, that's you know, you don't, for instance, one of the things that really ruffled feathers in, like, my family was, like, my children don't have to hug anyone. You know, their bodies are their bodies from day one. So if my 1-year-old, you know, when she was 1, if she's saying to you she doesn't want to hug you, that's fine. Like, I feel like a lot of people disrespect children and don't, especially with girls. I think, you know, we have to teach them about their bodies and you know, consent and their autonomy from day dot. So my 2-year-old, if she wants to hug you, she will. And even how I interact with other people's kids, I'll be like, you know, would you like a hug? Like, you know, I'd like to hug you, but if you don't want to hug me, that's fine. You know, and I'd like to normalize those kinds of interactions rather than, oh, it's your auntie, you have to go and hug them.
Yeah, that's
You
very
know?
true.
Yeah.
And that's all about body boundaries.
Exactly.
And you teach them from early about their
Exactly.
boundaries, because if it was a friend, you'd want the same thing, right? So
Absolutely.
it's the same for everyone, if you want to put it like that. You know, there's
Absolutely.
no expectation or no exemption
Yeah.
for anybody else.
Yeah,
I love
exactly.
that. I love that. And I
Yeah.
love hearing about different people's parenting styles,
Yeah.
because I learn myself as a mother, and I
Yes.
can kind of work on myself.
Yeah.
And viewers who are mothers as well, they
Yeah.
can learn and kind of see different ways that they can change.
Of course. I've got 23 years experience, and I have to say I've learned a lot of this on the job. Like, things that I did with my first daughter are totally different to what I'm doing with my fourth daughter. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, all of my daughters got a different version of me, but I think all of them have benefited from either being parented by the newer versions of me or seeing me parent. So my elder two are like, oh, this is a new rule, and I'm like, yeah,
This is a new mum. This is a new mum.
I don't remember that, but but they still get to see it, they get to witness it, and they also get to decide whether or not they agree with it. And if they do, maybe they will take it on to when they get to start their parenting journey. So, life is beautiful, man.
I love it. I love it. What's been one of the biggest lessons you've learned from being a mum to 4 beautiful girls?
The importance of first being an advocate for my children and then teaching them to advocate for themselves, especially as Black girls. I think, and as girls, I think, there are so many societal rules that we are unconsciously given from early doors, like, day dot, whether it be something as simple as, girls wear pink or girls play with these kind of toys. And for me, it's like, I always want my children to tell me who they are. I'm not telling you are a girl and this is what a girl does, because that's not how it goes. Like, yes, they're girls, but you're also Tasia, you're Tiani, you're True, you're Dream. And who are you? Tell me who you are, and how can I support that? How can I ensure that you become who you want to be? So for instance, at the moment, my 7-year-old True, she doesn't want to go to school, and a lot of people question me about it because she's 7 and she's supposed to be in school. And I have homeschooled my children, all of my children, from early doors, and they've been in and out of the school system at different times for different reasons. But True has decided that she doesn't want to go to school at the moment. She's quite anxious around a lot of people. We've had quite a few traumas over the last couple of years as a family. A lot of change has happened. And so it's for me to advocate for her. She doesn't have to explain to anyone why she doesn't go to school. And if you want to talk about it, come and talk to her mum, and I'll let you know. Do you know what I mean? If I feel like it, because, do you know what I mean? As like, it's my job to advocate for her so she doesn't feel strange. And to her life she feels normal. She doesn't feel strange because she's homeschooled. She's just like, oh, yeah, I'm homeschooled, and I'm very, very happy. And that's where the focus is. And and I love being in a position of advocacy for my children. And just, helping to kind of communicate their boundaries if they don't know how to do it yet, but also teaching them how to do it as well.
I love that. It sounds like you're building very resilient children who understand who they are, and have that understanding of what they want in life, and even how to articulate themselves when they want certain things and if they don't want certain things. Because as children get older, they become more confident, and they need that confidence to tell mummy how are you feeling, what do you want. So when you go into the big world, you can also be able to do the same.
Exactly.
I love that.
And they ask me for advice all the time. Even like my 7-year-old, she'll just like, we had the conversation. The people at the park keep touching my hair. She had her hair all out, and she was like, I just felt shy because I didn't know how to say no, but I didn't want them to touch my hair. And so it was just kind of like, you know, just a little sit down. But it was just a beautiful moment, like to, you know, teach her how to advocate for herself. And then she came back the next day and she was like, I did it, and no one touched my hair. And she, you know, you could see she was so like pumped up because she had done the thing, and we kind of talked it through. We role played it before she went to the park.
Aww.
And you know, again, I probably didn't do that with Tasia. You know, I don't think I did it with Tiani either. But like I'm so intent on learning and growing and improving and evolving in every area of my life. But I think my motherhood is like the thing that I'm most committed to, just being the best. And whilst I think each child has got the best version of me in their time. So I was the best mother I could be to Tasia as a 20-year-old girl, you know. And while I would rate myself as a much better mother now I'll be 44 on Saturday, at 44, I would definitely rate myself as better, but I still will always know that I showed up as my best self every single time, every single day. And it's been an amazing journey. Yeah.
And that's beautiful, and that's a reflection, because we can see that in your children today.
Yeah.
So everything you're saying, we can see. Okay, that child got the best version. That child got
that
child, and it's just trickling down generations. So I love that. I love that for you.
Yeah.
And I love that for your children.
Yeah.
Age 15, 16.
Yes.
Was when you first got signed. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, I was 15.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I want to know more about Jem and what was life like, even before you got signed.
Yeah.
What was life like for Jem?
So
before you got signed?
At 15, I was like hugely into music. So some of your audience might not even know what this is, but we just got cable introduced to the UK, so we could watch like all the American artists. So I was literally dressing like Total and like Mary J. Blige, and thankfully my mum, like I don't know how she patterned it, but she did, and I had everything that I wanted. So like I was able to look the part, and I was obsessed with music, R&B and hip hop music at the time, and I was really happy. I was a really happy child. I didn't have everything that I wanted. I definitely was. I really wanted a relationship with my dad, and I just didn't have. I didn't have the relationship that I had. I did see him, but he was chronically inconsistent, in and out, in and out. And when I say in and out, maybe I'd seem like after 6 months, and then he'd come with 20 pounds, but 6-year-old Jem was just like, oh my gosh, my dad's here, yay! And I look back and I think, like, what must my mom have felt at that time? Because I wouldn't be accepting it. Like, you'd be getting run. Like, there's just no way. There's just no way. But as a woman now, looking back, I can really appreciate how resilient and how insistent she was on trying to maintain a positive relationship with my dad, despite what she must have been feeling. And I know that feeling as well myself, like, trying to facilitate inconsistent and bad fathers, and it's not great, but at the same time, I do think that you do develop, you develop this sense of a strength. You develop a strength, but again, 20-year-old Jem compared to 44 is totally different. Yeah, totally different. But yeah, I would definitely describe my childhood as happy, especially as the child. Yeah, looking back on my childhood, I can see that there were a lot of failures that happened. But my mum had me at 17. My mum was a child, and she had me at 17, but she just celebrated her 17th birthday. She'd only just turned 17, and so, with hindsight, I have to give her grace for in the areas that she failed, and I still believe that I got the best mom I could have possibly gotten from her. She did everything that she was supposed to do. She tried, she put in effort, and I definitely feel like I inherited my work ethic from her. I remember I remember the day that she volunteered at the local play centre. She went, I was holding her hand, she crossed the road, she went to speak to the lady and got the job as a volunteer. And I saw her over the next 12 years work her way up to the managerial role, running the whole building. Now for me, that was just
incredible.
It's just it was just amazing. Like I was in awe of her and everything that she'd done. And I definitely think I inherited that kind of work ethic. It's just, you know, to see someone do that, it's like from the ground up, you know, was amazing. And I hope my daughters have a similar experience of me, because I believe that getting to watch my mom do what she was doing every single day definitely inspired me. And so I've always tried to keep my daughters close to what I'm doing for work. So even if they're not seeing what I'm doing, I tell them about my work, I involve them, I ask their opinion, and just so that they see like what it takes to win and to be successful. But I had a happy childhood.
I love that.
Yeah.
And I guess, as you said, you know, you saw your mum and how inspirational she was and how her work ethic was very strong, and she went from the ground up. Age 16 was when you first got signed. Bring me back to that moment. What was that like for you? You're 16. You've got this incredible voice. What was that like?
To be honest, the offering of the record deal was so out of the blue. I'd randomly gone on stage at Notting Hill Carnival, performed. I performed right here by SWV, and it just so happened that there was an A&R man from EMI in the crowd. He immediately approached my mom, and offered me a record deal the next day.
Do you know? Sorry to interrupt you. You're the second person who I've interviewed in that industry who said it just come about. When I interviewed Keisha, she said exactly the same thing. And to hear you say it, exactly the same thing.
Well, it's one of the things that I teach my girls, like make sure you're prepared for the opportunity, because you don't know. You just never know. Like I was so nervous. I'd never performed on stage before, but it was just kind of like I was given the mic. I was on the stage. There was a crowd of people.
You said it was not Carnival.
Yeah, it was,
so
it was a Rampage stage. It was, and everyone's looking at me. I'm just like, okay, 15.
I was just,
And, you know, and if I hadn't done that, I wouldn't have got my record deal. So, you know, you just never know when, you know, you're just in the right place at the right time. And luckily for me, I was prepared for the opportunity.
So talk a bit more about it. So you're on stage, you're singing SWV.
Right here.
What happened next?
And the crowd went wild.
What?
The crowd, because this another thing as well. Like at 15, I was really small for my age. Like really small. I probably looked about 10. So the crowd probably didn't think I was 15. So I must have just looked like a cute little girl, and like I'm singing, you know.
Such a classical song.
Exactly. And I really enjoyed it. Like after I got over the nerves turned into excitement, and I was just like, okay, I'm gonna pretend I'm Mary J. Blige, like, you know. And it was amazing, and I'll never forget it. I'll never forget that day. And then the next day, so it must have been like bank holiday Monday. The next day, we went into the record label. I was offered the record deal there and then. My mom said no, she's got to pass her GCSEs. So I was given something called a development deal at that point, but it's kind of more like a retainer. So I was paid £600 a month.
How 15,
old,
wow.
Please my mom's Jamaican. Please know that money did not stay with me at all. But like, and it was just kind of like a placeholder. It's kind of like what they do with footballers when they sign like a young boy. It's like they pay them so that you're kind of contracted to stay with them. And then when I passed my GCSEs, which believe that I did, I was a bit of a class clown, and not to say I wasn't going to pass my exams, but I may not have. I don't think I had that much of an incentive. I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do. I was still in the stages where I was changing every week. I wanted to be a midwife. I wanted to be a forensic psychologist. I wanted to be a child psychologist. There were so many different things that I wanted to do. But then when I was offered my record deal, I was like, oh, I'm going to be a singer.
So how did you know that you wanted to be a singer? Because you said that you were kind of unsure about what career you wanted, what you wanted to do, what made singing feel right to you?
So singing was like my dream, in the way that a little girl dreams of being a princess. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
You know, realistically, I'm from inner city Birmingham. You know, like how am I going to become a princess?
Yeah.
But then someone, you know, then the prince says, "Will you marry me?" And you're like, "Raw." Oh, okay.
This is happening.
It's happening. You know, and then so it was kind of like, yes, I had the idea of doing all these other things, but my real dream was to be the princess. Like,
that's
you know
so
what I mean?
beautiful.
Yeah. And so, yeah, it's happening. And so I was tunnel vision, 100%. As I said, like, that's when that work ethic kicked in. The development deal was for 3 years. And so, and it's what it sounds like. You are developed as an artist. Yeah. I was very rough around the edges. I'd never been in a studio. Being on stage that day was the first time I'd held a professional mic. So, you know, I had to be taught how to pick up choreography, how to, you know, make a track, how to write. But it was fantastic, like absolutely fantastic. I'm still friends with a lot of the people that I met back then, people like Royston and Dwayne, who were in like my first videos. I'm still tight with them to this day. And yeah, it was a really beautiful period of my life, and prepared me for the career that I'd go on to enjoy for like 10 years. It was amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
And just to hear how it started, it's just like, wow, like from Notting Hill Carnival, getting on stage and just speaking and just singing to where you are now, it's just like, it was worth it.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
And having that tunnel vision was exactly what you needed to do.
Well, and this is the thing, I think being able to recognize what you're truly passionate about, and when the opportunity comes and the ability to lock in, you know, that's what, you know, it's like your heart speaks to you. So yes, you know, I still would love to work in CSI if I could, just for a week or so. So now, like, I have like dreams of like, I'd love to go and work in an office. Like, I like, or, you know, do some typing and do the emails. Like, genuinely, I would, because, you know, I didn't go to college, I didn't go to university. So at the moment, my 19-year-old's at university, and when I come over to England, I'll go and stay with her in her uni and be like, oh, this is what it's like. You know, because she's doing the thing, and I'm like, I have no idea what that life is like, you know, hanging out with teenagers your own age and stuff like that. I was literally in board meetings and, you know, signing contracts and having meetings with lawyers. Like, my life was very, very different at 15.
Was it quite isolated in the sense where you never got that childhood where you could play out and have fun with your friends? You were focused on your career and singing and just going in that direction? It
was very isolated, but I enjoy being by myself. Like, I enjoy that kind of, especially in a creative space. Like, Money, I wrote it in the back of a taxi, like it was me in a taxi with my headphones, and like, that's how I like to initially write my songs, and then I'll go in with someone else and run the idea by them. But it's most of my biggest hits, Thank You, similar way. I was, you know, by myself. I just had a massive argument on the phone, and then I just kind of whittled myself away in a little corner and wrote the song. And then I was just like, and then I went to the producer. I was like, what do you think of this? You know, I think when you're a creative, isolation is a beautiful thing. I think a lot of people see isolation as a negative, but I really don't. And it's because I'm creative. Isolation is a fantastic space to be creative.
I think isolation or solitude. I think it's like a gift, isn't it? Because that's when you're most creative and you can think and you can draw from from things that either inspire you or from your own experiences.
Exactly.
And, you know, when we listen to your songs, the different types of genres that you sing and that you talk about, we can hear, you know, the journey that you've gone through in your relationships and how that made you feel. And I know you've spoken about being a victim of domestic abuse, and we hear it in your music. But then we also hear the triumph where you was able to leave a relationship and really find yourself.
Yeah.
And that's so beautiful to just hear that transition.
Yeah.
And to know that, you know, you being creative was when you were by yourself and you were able to really think about, okay, how can I draw from this? How can I learn from this and put it into a song?
Yeah. Well, I've always seen, you know, that creative space, songwriting, as like a really therapeutic thing.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
I'm not really good with like therapy and like talking to people. I'd much rather write something down. I'd much rather write a song. I've got so many songs. Like, listen, you see when people find my songs, mate, whenever my time comes and you find my songs, you'll be like,
2025, we're ready. We're ready.
So I'm currently, you know, I do think the healing journey never ends, but I feel like I'm on the other side of a really, you know, traumatic few years, and I feel like it's the perfect time to like write something. That's literally what I feel like. I'm not even just gonna say what I feel like. I was in the studio a couple of days ago, and I was just like, yeah, I need to write this down. I need to get this out. I need to, you know, writing songs, performing that's my therapy. It's my therapy, and I know, you know, it doesn't quite work for everyone, but it does work for me, and I know what works for me. And I think it's a release. I think it's a release the same way, you know, when I wrote Thank You. Yeah. That was an instant release. Like, I was just like this, you know, yeah.
And I think that song was a release for so many women who have experienced what you experienced. Yeah. And it was just like, although I've gone through this, although you made me feel this way, although you did this to me, thank you, because you made me stronger.
Yeah. And whenever I write my songs, so I might initially write my songs for myself, and then I'm really intentional about making it universal. So when I first wrote it, I probably wrote it more specifically to my own situation. And then, you know, I was like, well, what about if someone's being bullied, or what about if someone's just gone through something and they feel like this? It's really intentional for me. I think one of my core values is being of service to other people, and I just love it. I love, you know, I've never been someone who enjoys fame, but I love being of service, and my public persona allows me to, you know, to have that type of impact. And so it's always intentional. And so to see how well Thank You in particular was received. Like, I know, you know, everyone thinks that Superstar is the one, but for me, it's Thank You.
The infamous Superstar.
Yeah. But yeah, Thank You to me, like the impact, like to this day, I'll have people come up to me and talk to me about the impact that song has had on them, or their lives, changed their lives. Yeah. And like, you know, I think a lot of people have different markers of success. But for me, like, to know that you've impacted the life of another person, you changed someone's trajectory because you sat down and wrote a song. Like, it's that to me is true success and a true legacy, and it's something that, you know, I'm really, really proud of. Yeah.
When I look at you, I just see such an incredible woman, such a resilient woman.
Oh, bless you.
And so empowering. And I say that because you've got this beautiful gift, right, being a singer. Yeah. And you've gone through so much traumatic things as well, you know, and you've had your happy memories. Yeah. And the fact that you're able to write a song or put your gift in a form of an art to share with the world and inspire people and be of service, even though you've gone through what you've gone through. Yeah. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful.
Oh, thank
and
you.
It's having you here anyway is bloody surreal.
Stop it.
I still haven't taken it in that you're sitting here, but just to hear your story and just to hear, you know, how you've gone through something personal, but then you've tried to find that universal meaning for someone else. That is beautiful, because we live in a world now where people are very self-obsessed and very selfish, and they do things from a point of, it's all about me, I want the recognition, what can I get from this? Whereas you, it's like, obviously, you want to get your wins and you want to clear the check and stuff, but you know, you're still finding a meaning for people in the world.
To be honest, I like, has never ever been my motivation ever. Money comes to me easily. I'm always fine when it comes to finances, but I'm never motivated by money. I'm always motivated by passion. I'm always motivated by service. And the reason why I'm so committed to that is because it's been over 25 years, and when I've been led by passion and, you know, integrity and honesty, authenticity, when I've been led by those things, you know, all the other things happen anyway.
Yeah, it just comes.
Yeah. But
How do you remain authentic? How do you keep that authenticity?
do you know what? I always return to center. For me, it's really important to, when I was younger, I would make sure I would always go home. I'd always go home to Birmingham. So I could come to London or maybe go to Australia or South Africa and do a show. You know, I'll be doing a show with Nelson Mandela on a Thursday, and I'm back home, you know, boiling dumpling with my mum on a Sunday. Because for me, it was like, it was really, I don't know why, but it was really important for me to recenter myself. And to this day, you know, like for instance, this week I've had some amazing like meetings. As I said, I was in the studio, but like I'm really looking forward to going back home and being around my girls, and, you know, changing nappies and cooking dinner and doing all of those things, because I think it's a sense of, it's a grounding for me.
Yeah.
I've never wanted to be caught up in like being a celebrity, or, you know, those things just don't appeal to me at all. And I do understand that there are certain things that I can gain from it, but I think one of the important things is, like, I grew up as a Rasta, and like,
oh wow, I didn't know that.
No, you didn't know.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I grew up as a Rasta, and I feel like having that as a foundation for me was just truly beautiful. And one of the things is, like, you know, you don't compromise your integrity. You know, you move forward with a pure heart. You do things with love. You know, that's kind of like the ethos of the religion. And I think, whilst I wouldn't describe myself as religious, there are a lot of teachings in different religions that, you know, I'm not religious, but I immerse myself in all religions. I learn from religion, and I take what I need, I take it on board, and I try to move through my life with, as I said, integrity, authenticity, honesty. Those things are really important to me, and it's really important for me to kind of maintain that both publicly and privately. You know, when people talk about me, that's what I want you to talk about. I don't want you to talk about like what car I drive, or what like and which is why you wouldn't know what car I drive, because it's just that's not what I want you to connect to me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I want who I am to be.
To connect, yeah.
Yeah, to be what you connect.
For those who don't know what a Rasta is,
Yeah.
I'm sure many people do.
Yeah.
But for those who don't know what a Rasta is,
Yeah.
and the upbringing of a Rasta, or the
Yeah.
culture of a Rasta,
Yeah.
can you share that with us, and what that was like for Jamelia?
Yeah. So, first of all, we all have locks. We all have dreadlocks.
So did you have dreadlocks, Jamelia?
Yeah, I had them like down to my bum.
We need a picture.
Yeah.
Oh
Okay,
my
I'll
God.
try and get one to
Okay,
you.
so you had the dreadlocks.
Yeah,
Wow,
yeah.
okay.
There's actually a picture in my first album. There's a picture of me with my dreadlocks.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a
How long was your
beautiful-
dreadlocks?
They were like down to my bum.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was I can't remember how old I was when I cut them off, but my mum wanted me to go to a Catholic school.
Okay.
And obviously I was presenting as a Rasta, so I had to. Yeah, she decided to comb them out or whatever. But so Rastafarianism as a culture, I would describe it more as a culture than a religion. And I know it is a religion, but for me, what I remember about the religion is the culture. And how I would describe it is really community-based, unity-based. You know, each one teach one. I had many parents. I had many brothers and sisters, both literally, but also figuratively. It was the most, for me, the most beautiful. There are so many Rastafarian principles that I still carry on to this day in my household, in my own personal, having that as a foundation for me was just the most beautiful thing. And it's something that, you know, I'm really proud of actually. But it's, especially like children are really exalted in the religion, where we're prioritized and we're surrounded by love and education. We're very empowered. So, you know, we're in touch with our history. So by the time we got to school, and I think that's what caused a lot of problems for a lot of us when we got to school, because we were so empowered, we were so in tune with who we were, so confident in where we came from, and you know, and so, for instance, when they want to do, I don't know, show roots in school, we're just like, I absolutely rebuke that. Why aren't we talking about, you know, the black man that invented the toilet? Like, why are we not talking about the guy who invented the traffic lights? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And those are the kind of things I'm saying at like 5 and 6 years old. So that makes you.
She just like Jamelia.
Do you know what I mean? So, but again, like for me, and whilst I might not necessarily be, well, I do teach my children things like that. I teach my children positive Black history. Yeah. Like and this might be controversial, my 7-year-old has no concept of slavery. She knows nothing about it, and I have no intention of telling her.
Why is that?
Because I feel like it's always the first historical thing that we tell young Black children. And for me, why would we start on the negative? Why would we start there? Whilst I understand that it has impacted us as a people, there are so many. I want my children to walk out into the world empowered. I want them to feel big. I know that as Black children, they're going to go out into the world, and the world is going to try and make them smaller because they fear us. Like it's as simple as that. And so for me, I want you to walk out with a big chest. Like, do you know who I am? Do you know where I'm from? Do you know who my ancestors are? So I feel like it's really important that, you know, we uplift and empower our children before we teach them things that are going to diminish their sense of self. I remember learning about slavery and connecting myself to a slave. I don't want my child to do that. I want you to connect yourself to the people that invented stuff, to the people that did incredible things. I want you to, you know, even me, I want you to, you know that your mommy was on stage at the Mobos with Beanie Man. Like, I want you to know that before you know anything else. You know what I mean? And I understand, to some people it might seem controversial, but it's, again, a decision that I've made. My older two, I told them about slavery when they were very, very young. And I just feel like,
starting new.
Why do we do that? Yeah. Why?
Because we've been conditioned, haven't we? We've been conditioned to tell these stories and talk about these things that disempower us as Black people. Exactly. And then, you know, when we go in the system, we feel disempowered, and we don't believe that we can get to certain places because, slavery and...
But this is it, like, imagine going into school and just remember, you know, feeling like, oh, well, I'm so lucky to be here because my ancestors were slaves. No. Your ancestors, like, you know, like your ancestors have done...
Were more than slaves. We've done
like incredible things. Like, you know, there are so many historical figures there are so many other historical figures that we can talk about from way back before slavery. That, you know, those are the people that I want my daughters to learn about first. I'm not saying I never want them to learn about it, but especially as a homeschooler, I'm in control. And that's just a choice that I've made. I don't know how I got here, but
No, we got here because we were talking about Rasta and your upbringing on it and how they empower children and children at the forefront.
And so, kind of throwing back to that, I don't remember. The first time I remember hearing about slavery was in school. I was never taught about slavery. I was taught about Africa. I was taught about where we originate from. I was taught about, you know, King Selassie and, you know, just like incredible things and incredible people, you know, Mansa Musa and stuff like that. Like, those are the things that I was. So, you know, you go in with the energy of a king, and if you go in here, so when they try and do the thing, you still don't end up, you know. But if you go in like, oh, we descend from slaves, we're really lucky to be here. then when they push you down, do you know what I mean? And you're easily controlled, and yeah, I'm not playing that at all.
I love that. That's very empowering and very inspiring to hear that that's how you grew up.
Yeah.
And it just goes to show the woman you are today.
Yeah.
And, you know, your mindset and the way you think.
Yeah.
And also your children as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
In your career, you were in a relationship when you first started in your career? Age 19 roughly, I think it was?
Yeah, so by the time I was releasing music, I was in my relationship. So I got into my relationship when I was 16, nearly 17. I would describe it as being groomed. If a 25-year-old man was coming to speak to my 16-year-old daughter, like, what for? Like, what do you mean? But the environment enabled that to flourish. Obviously, I got my daughter out of it. I don't regret it. But in hindsight, these are the types of things that I protect my children from, or I make them aware of. You know, my daughters, they'd be disgusted if a man 9 years older than them was even trying to talk to them. They'd be absolutely horrified. Whereas I was impressed. I was like, wow.
But as you said, you know, it was the lifestyle that you were in and what came with that lifestyle, essentially.
Yeah, I think, well, to be honest, it was not a part of he was not a part of the music industry. He was in Birmingham, and so as I mentioned, I would literally like go to work in London, and then I'd go home to Birmingham.
Yeah.
So I had like two different lives. I lived two different lives. Who I was when I was in Birmingham was very different to the person I was being trained to be in London. So during this time, I was still going through my development. I was being trained to be an artist. I was, you know, doing dance classes and media training and vocal lessons, those kind of things. And then when I was at home, I was going to dances. I was like, you know, my mum wasn't as present as she had been when I was a child. And I think it's because obviously I'd gone off to work. I was 15. I was the breadwinner. And I think it was a bit of partly you can't tell me nothing because I'm paying the bills.
Was that heavy on your shoulders? Because I remember I listened to an interview with Kiki Palmer, and she said she was the breadwinner at such a young age. Yeah. And she said that was very heavy for her. Was that heavy for you also?
I didn't feel like it was heavy at all. I was so proud. I was so happy. I felt like it was such a blessing to be able to lift that burden off my mum's shoulders. So I was more than happy to be the breadwinner, to, you know, because I'd seen my mum do it for all those years. Yeah. And my mum, you know, my mum was a grafter. She worked really, really hard. And by the time I was like 21, I was able to retire my mum. I bought her a house. I bought her a house in Jamaica. I bought her a car. Like, my mum was... I
love that.
I was spoiled.
Do you know what? That is so... I'm going to say empowering, but I want to say... I want that to be normalised. Yeah. Because I think we live in a society where we, you know, want to be wealthy or want to retire our parents at like 40, 50.
No,
but it's like...
No.
You can... You know, if we have the right training and the right, you know, schooling and the right people around us, we can do it earlier. And just to hear you say that, you know, at 21, you were able to do that for your mum. Yeah. That must have been empowering for you, but also empowering for your mum to see what she has brought into this world and, you know, through you using your gift. Yeah. And it goes back to, you know, when God, I believe in God. So when God gives you a gift, when God gives you a gift, look how your gift can make room for you and your family.
Exactly.
It's just so beautiful.
And it goes back to, you know, tapping into your passion. When you're given that, you know, that whether it's an idea or something, you know, you might have other ideas, but, you know, if there's something that you just can't let go of, that's God. That's God telling you, like even me, like, going back into the studio and stuff, like, I'm just like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I've done loads of stuff and I've done amazing things, but it's just kind of like, I feel like I'm supposed to do one more project. I feel like that's what God's telling me to do. Do you know what I mean? And I have to be obedient, but also, you know, when your children are showing you who they are, pay attention and try and invest in it and, you know, support whatever it is. Like my 7-year-old, since she was about 3, she's got this real interest in science. And so I make sure she's always got some sort of science experiment going on, like at least 2 or 3 times a week. We do a science experiment and she loves it. She's got a little white coat. She does the whole thing. And, you know, my 2-year-old, she's really into singing and performing. And I'm in my element because I'm like, oh my gosh, finally. But, you know, so I make sure she's got her little mic. She listens to music every day. I just feel like, you know, we are communicating our passions, and we communicate our passions from early, but we also have to be able to listen to ourselves and trust as well, like have faith. You know, even if you're not going to see the rewards immediately, trust the notion that you've been given this passion and this idea for a reason, this gift. Like, you know, and a gift is always meant to be shared. Always. Always.
And I know we're talking about the highs of your career and, you know, being able to retire mum at 21 and, you know, being able to just live a lifestyle where, you know, you're free, you're financially free, you know. Yeah. What were the lows that came with that?
I think for me it was the understanding that money was a variable, that it wasn't guaranteed. So there were points in my career where I was doing consistently, you know, 10, 50 grand shows in each month. So imagine how much money I'm accumulating. But then I also don't have financial literacy. No one in my family, I have nobody to give me any advice on how to handle this obscene amount of money that I now have. I wasn't, you know, I didn't do the thing of like buying property and whatever. I was just spending. I was going on holiday. Like my kids had whatever they wanted. I had whatever I wanted. And, you know, I did do the things of like making sure, you know, my family was set. But at the same time, I also attracted a lot of people who I would lend money to, or give money to, because I never lent money to people. It was always, I've got it, so you can have it.
Come on.
Yeah. but when you do that to 50 people, you know, but that's the type of person I am. Like, I was. No one can ask me for money today. But it's because, you know, so again, coming from the inner city, having that experience, being from that environment, it's like, there is this idea that you're supposed to go back to the hood and you're supposed to give everybody some and make sure everybody eats, which I feel like I did. But at the same time, when I wasn't doing the 50 grand shows and I wasn't, you know, I'd say after my first divorce, that was when I first experienced, after having obscene amounts of money, I first experienced like a financial crisis, I would say, because I was just like so basically within that divorce, he got everything because I'm trying in 2025, I'm trying not to retell negative stories, just because
we don't want to relive.
I don't. Yeah. I just don't. But in a nutshell, that's why I ended up with nothing. But at the same time, so it was a low, but it was the first instance of me saying, one of my first instances of, I gotta get back up. I've got to get back up. Like, there was a point where I literally had nothing. And in that moment, I realized, and I also don't have anyone to ask. All these people were able to ask me to help, and nobody could help me. And so that was like so eye-opening. I also lost so many friends, and family. Like, you know, my house wasn't packed up as it normally was. Like, it was just kind of like, wow. So I need to be.
This is my reality.
Exactly. And that was a real shell shock for me. And then I I became really intentional about like doing more TV work and doing more, just being out there and working and just trying to reaccumulate some wealth.
I want to stop you there.
Yeah.
The mindset of being at your lowest in regards to everything being kind of taken away from you. How did you get to a place where you were able to say, do you know what, I'm going to go again. Here we go again. Let me get back on my grind and let me work on myself and kind of get these deals and get these opportunities. What were you saying to yourself to get to that point?
I wasn't saying anything. I had 2 little girls walking around my house that required things, and at that point we're probably going to private school, and I am someone, I really walk through life with faith. Like, I might not have it today, but I promise you it's gonna somehow, some way. And this is gonna sound really strange, but this has happened to me. I can't even count how many times it's happened to me, but like I regularly, and I mean like very, very regularly, get unexpected money, like just randomly from, I don't know, it could be something like, oh, you're owed this, or you're, you know, and or someone's not someone, but like it's always from some work that I've done previously. And so I always think, and I always tell, especially my older girls, I tell them every time it happens, and they've heard and seen, like I'll screenshot, or like even this week, it happened to me this week. I was a show, I did Death in Paradise about 10, 15 years ago. I just unexpectedly got like a massive check, and I was just like, I screenshotted it. I was like, yeah, wicked. Screenshotted it, I sent it to my kids. I was like, look at this. And the reason, it's just like, it's really hard to tell my children, just have faith that it's going to work out. As long as you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, as long as you're putting in the work, you will always be rewarded. That work was put in years ago, and I just randomly got a check this week. But stuff like that happened, and at no point was I not able to feed my children. At no point was I not able to send my kids to school or pay the bills, or it happened repeatedly. But not only, I didn't just rely on this magic money coming in, I also put in the work as well. Do you know what I mean? Both things, for me, both things have to happen. Yeah, I'm not just sitting back saying, oh, don't worry, so, you know, this money's going to magically appear. I believe that, but I also believe that I have to be seen to be putting in the work as well. I'm willing to work. I'm willing to work for it. And I don't know where I get this, that mindset from. And I was actually thinking about it today. Mm-hmm. And I think from day dot, I've had the understanding that I can rely on no one but me. I am the only person I have to rely on, and it's been like that my entire life. And so I'm not afraid to work hard, and I'm always, my children, because my children are the center of it, because my children are the motivation for whatever it is, like I have an unwavering faith that my children will never go without, because I am their mom, because they have me as a mother, not just because it's going to magically happen, because of me. And it's down to me, it's on my shoulders. And it's not a burden, it's not a hardship, it's a pleasure. You know, I feel like they're fortunate, but I feel really fortunate as well to have, it's just, yeah, it's like a kind of, like a reflection, you know what I mean? Yeah. And I feel, but I also feel, I feel truly gifted as well. And I think that's been something that's been really difficult for me to come to terms with. I've only come to terms with it, I'd say, in the last year or so, that I am gifted. I have something that a lot of people don't have. I have talents that a lot of people don't have. And I know it might seem obvious because of the industry that I work in, but I've always tried to make myself smaller so that I fit into my environment.
What made you want to do that?
I think that I've never felt like I belonged anywhere.
Okay.
I've never, you know.
And is that because of your gift or just in general?
I just feel like I feel like my gift made me too big.
Okay.
You know, in the environment that I was in. So I'd never lived outside of Birmingham. So I stayed. Remember I was saying I would come to London for work. I'd be the big flowery gem, Jamelia, and then I'd go home and I'd be insistent that I had to be Gem again. And so, and that what that looked like was me being of service to everyone I possibly could. I'd be like looking after people's kids. I'd be like my house was the house of, you know, I wanted the kids to come and like have a movie night, and like, you know, I wanted them to, you know, I wanted people to be able to go out with their spouses for the weekend. Like, I'll have your kids for the weekend. If anyone needed any money, if anyone needed food, is anyone sick, I'm the person who cooks the soup. Like, I think I had this innate sense that when I was leaving people. And so when I came back, I had to show you I'm still here. But then things happen and you realize none of these people will do it for me. Not one of these people will do any of these things for me. And that, I think, I only realized in the last couple of years. And I think that's probably been the most traumatic thing I've experienced. So I've been groomed, I've been in a domestically abusive situation, I've been publicly humiliated, cheated on, abandoned. But this most recent trauma of like just realizing nobody is here for you. And I have experienced it before, but I genuinely believe that, like Tasia, she says this all the time, that when you don't learn a lesson, it's going to happen again. And I think that that's what's happened. Like, you know, I've always been a person, like when I'm back on top, I'll just go and do the same thing again. I'll go and spoil everyone. I'm like, oh, you know, come, I've got it now. And
it's a pattern, isn't it?
It absolutely is. It absolutely is. And but being abandoned and realizing you have no one but your children, especially this time around, I was just like, I'm just a different person, I think. And it was just kind of, I had to take a different action. And my action was leaving the country.
And is that to
Dubai? Yeah. Moving to Dubai. So, you know, when we talk about highs and lows, like within this time, there have been highs, there have been lows. But I take accountability for my actions. Like, I take accountability for the environments that I place myself in. You know, you can't grow in certain environments. There's certain things that are never going to happen in certain environments. But because I'm trying to prove to these people that I'm one of you repeatedly, I'm
stunting your growth.
Yeah, I'm stunting my growth. I'm also disrespecting the gifts that I've got, and I'm not using them. And so I feel like now, since leaving the country, just totally focused on myself and my children, I feel like I've gone on this kind of journey that has empowered me in a way that I couldn't have even fathomed. And now I'm so aware of who I am, what I'm capable of, it's not just about what I've survived, it's about what I did with the pieces. Because I feel like, you know, so many things broke.
Yeah.
So many things, so many ideas that I had literally smashed to pieces. And then in March, I moved to Dubai. And to you know, it's January now, and I know probably this isn't going to go out in January, but in this space of time, to have done this kind of work, to have healed in the way that I have, to have just focused just on what I should be focusing on. My life is unrecognizable. I am unrecognizable, but I'm also so sure of who I am, what I'm doing, where I'm going, why I want to go there. And I appreciate every low that has happened. I appreciate the, you know, my resilience as well. Like there's like, I feel like the traumas that I've experienced throughout my life, a lot of people experience one and their whole life, you know, kind of falls. Yeah. And so for me, to have survived so many different traumas, so many different types of traumas.
You need to write a book.
Do you know I've actually
Because it's empowering.
I've written a book before.
You're a masterpiece. Like when I look at you, it's like you've gone through so much, and you've shared some, you haven't shared some.
Yeah,
and to be here today, sitting with me and just talking about it, it's like you have so, like you said, you have a gift.
Yeah.
And your gift is in multiple different things.
Yeah.
And
and I think for me, like, recognizing that and being like, you know, I don't want to experience another trauma. I really don't. Yeah. It's just, it's not something that I want to do. But I do have a stack of undeniable proof that whether it's my mindset, my resilience is different. It's on a different scale. And so with that, what if I was to use that resilience, that same resilience, to, you know, apply it to my work ethic, or to, you know, now that I'm not using it to survive, now that I'm not using, you know, my response to trauma to get through it, what can I use that for? What can I use those strengths for? What positive things? And, you know, I really center my whole world on joy now. Like, you know.
It's like that, you know what? The power of your gift can unlock so many doors. And sometimes it can be very scary because when we're given this gift and it's such a massive gift, it's like, God, you've given me this gift. Whoa, it's very heavy now. Yes. And sometimes for myself, when I think about these interviews are my gift for me, because it was healing when my relationship broke down. But then it's also healing for other people.
Absolutely.
And sometimes I'm like, God, this gift is very big. You know, I'm interviewing phenomenal people. I need your help with this because I need to tap into other areas. And for many people as well, having a gift can be very scary.
Of course.
To handle and to manage, and what comes with that.
And I think, so what my advice would be is just ensure that your environment aligns with your gift and supports you in using your gift for good, for positive, and that's exactly what you're doing. But we do have to be able to, like, activate tunnel vision. You know, you can't. A lot of us are using our gifts to support our survival, and you learn that, like, you learn it the hard way. You really do end up learning the hard way. Like, one of my things that I have now found was that my environment was stunting my whole life, not just even my personal growth, my whole life, my children's lives, where they were going to be, who they were going to be. My environment didn't support me and my gifts. Now my environment is just like, it's blissful, and now I'm kind of, you know, coming up with ideas, I'm being creative, I'm just like, I live the life that is just like, I live a life that I absolutely love. Every single day I wake up and I'm just like, no way, this is my life.
I love that.
And you have to understand, 4 years ago, I thought I was happily married. I thought that environment was the right environment for me. Now, from this space, looking back, I'm like, are you okay? Are you, like, I was insane. I was insane. I was accepting way less than I deserved. But had that not happened, I would have stayed there, because I'm loyal to the end, loyal till the point of stupidity. And so I'd committed to a marriage. I'd committed, you know, if I commit to a relationship, I commit to a friendship, I'm your friend to the end. Do you know what I mean? And so knowing that this guy had to do something heinous for me to say, you know what, you can't come back around here. And so, but had that not happened, I'd still be in that environment. And so I can only look back now and just be like, thank God, like I am so happy that happened. And there were times where I was just like, I'm going to die. I am not going to survive. This is the end. Like I literally thought that there were moments where, and in those moments, the people that saved me were my daughters. Like I don't even want to get emotional, but they were.
Oh, don't get emotional.
Sorry. But yeah, and this is why I kind of think, yeah, sorry.
It's all right.
But like, all 4 of my daughters are meant to be here. And I know like there's public perception about, how my daughters got here. Yeah. Let me tell you, see this Jamelia that stands here today, I genuinely don't care what people have to say, because they are all meant to be here, just like every child. Stop it. But yeah, and I just feel like even my inability to move before this point, I've wanted to move to Dubai for years. But my children are meant to be here. I was meant to have my younger 2 children. They were meant to be here. They were meant to come to Dubai with me, and had I not believed in love, and had I not been that person, they wouldn't be here. So I don't regret anything. I'm not embarrassed about anything. I'm not apologizing about anything. Like, I am so proud of myself. I'm so happy that I have my children, and I feel so optimistic about my future, about my children's future. I'm so excited about my life moving forward. I'm so looking forward to watching my children become everything they're meant to become. And not only that, being a person in the public eye, I'm really looking forward to sharing that with people. I love sharing. I love especially my wins. I think one of my decisions that I've made is that I only want to share my joy, because I've told the story. If you want to know the story, it's out there. Do you know what I mean? But I don't live there anymore. That's not.
It's unrecognizable.
Yeah. It's that Jamelia does not exist. Yeah. I promise you. And I feel like this Jamelia, I'm just like, and if you don't see it, that's fine. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's absolutely fine. I'm in an environment now where, as I said, it supports me. I have a fantastic village where I live now, a village that didn't exist. Like, when I was coming over to the UK from Dubai, I had like 7 different people reach out and say, just let me know if I can help with the children. Is there anything that you need before you go? Let me know, or just make sure the girls have got my phone number. And I'm just like, these may sound like normal things to some people, but to me, I have never, ever received that type of support. And where my new environment, it comes for free, and it's exactly what I wanted. It's exactly what I went out there for. I knew I was going to get.
I love that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming here and just being a blessing. And it's January 2025. It probably won't go out January 2025, but the fact that you're my first guest of 2025, you've brought so much joy. You brought a little bit of tears.
Yeah, I know. I didn't want to cry. I'm a thug.
We've got to figure it out. But just to sit here with you and just, because I grew up on you, singing and acting and watching you on just multiple different shows. And just to sit here, I was in awe of just listening to you and hearing your story. And I thank God for your life. I thank God that you are where you are right now, where you need to be. I'm excited for your future, your singing, your acting, any more TV shows that you're going to appear on, because you already done out MasterChef.
Yeah.
I caught the thing, I done everything.
I want to go back on MasterChef because I was doing it in the middle of a madness. Like, let me just give me one more chance because I could have won it.
Give her, please, guys, bring her back. But you know what? It's these moments where it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. It's like a dream, and I love it. Thank you so much. I want to give you a cuddle.
Can I just say to you, thank you for choosing to share your gift with the world, and for, you know, you've had so many phenomenal conversations that I've definitely watched and learned from, and the impact that you're going to have and continue to have is honestly, like, I'm so excited for you, and I'm excited for your future, and I really appreciate you having me on. Like as you know, I begged you. I was like, oh,
oh, I love that. Oh, so much.